Hey guys, it's Ray. Today I'm going to show you how I made these awesome privacy window covers. They're insulated and they're really rigid, so when they fit into the window, they fit super tight and they never fall out. I'll show you all the materials I used and I'll walk you through the build process step by step. First, we need to make a template for each window. Start along the bottom edge of the window, taping each piece of paper. Now spray a generous amount of adhesive to one side of Reflectix. Slowly lower it into position on the fabric. Place the Coroplast on top of the Reflectix fabric layer. Now flip the piece over and cut the edges. Place the tape onto the fabric side. Test fit it in your window. If it fits snugly in place, awesome. So for privacy at night, I made these window shades, and I started with a shower curtain that I cut and I spray glued onto Reflectix for insulation. And then I also glued it to Coroplast in the back, and I put black gaffer's tape to hold it around the edges. And I have a tab right here to pull it out. But when you go to shove it in this window, it is so tight. It really takes a little bit of muscle. You bend it in, it's gonna go, I promise. And then you push it in. But once it is in, it does not come out. It doesn't let any light in. Okay, now let's look at how I created the window shades. Here's what I used. Reflectix, also known as double reflective insulation, any fabric or a fabric shower curtain, some spray adhesive, black gaffer's tape, packing paper or even copy paper, scissors, an X-Acto or utility knife, a ballpoint and a Sharpie pen, Scotch tape, and finally Coroplast, also known as corrugated plastic. Coroplast sheets are optional, but this is what provides rigidity. I wanted the shades to stay in place and not get floppy over time. The trade-off is that it takes more space to store them. You can't fold these or roll them up. First, we need to make a template for each window, and for that you can use packing paper, these larger sheets like this, or just plain copy paper and Scotch tape. I'm going to start out and do it in the center. A quick tip, when taping to your windows, make sure only a tiny bit of the tape is touching the window. If you put too much tape, it'll be hard to pull the template off the window in one piece. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to cover the window, so let's speed this up. Start along the bottom edge of the window, taping each piece of paper on the top and sides. It's okay to overlap the pages as much as you need, just keep adding tape to keep them together. When you get to the edge, run your fingers along the inner edge of the window to make a crease, and tape the edge piece to the door trim. Add paper to the other side until you finish the row. Then start another row, remembering to overlap each piece of paper. If you have a small gap somewhere, that's okay, just leave it. We're mainly concerned about the outer edges. With the basic template done, add more tape to all the overlapping paper edges. This will help hold it together when we pull it off. Now get a ballpoint pen, not a Sharpie. Trace around the inner edge of the window. It helps to run your fingers back and forth to form a crease before drawing. Next, slowly peel the template off the window, starting at the outer edges. Be careful that the paper doesn't pull apart. So now we have the template, we just have to cut it out. Place the template on a flat surface and cut along the line you drew, and voila, you have your first template. And the good news is that you only need a template for the windows on one side of your car. That's because your driver's side and passenger side windows are exact opposites of each other. So each template is an exact match for the opposite side if you just flip it. The next step is to cut our Coroplast layers. Place the template you just made onto a sheet of Coroplast and trace around it using a Sharpie pen. If you have black Coroplast and a black Sharpie, it can be hard to see the line you've drawn. Try adjusting the light in the room or using a different color pen. Next, cut the Coroplast to size using an X-Acto knife or a thin blade utility knife. It might be hard to cut using scissors. Next, we're going to test fit it in the window, but before we do, we need to attach some gaffer's tape to make a temporary tab. Cut a piece of gaffer's tape about 10 inches long and attach it to one of the top corners of the Coroplast like this. Fold it over on itself and seal it together. This gives us a tab to pull the shade out of the window if it's too tight. Test fit it in your window. If it fits snugly in place, awesome. If it's too big, just trim it down a little bit at a time until it fits. After testing, carefully remove or cut off the temporary gaffer's tape tab. Now we need to use this Coroplast piece to create another one. Place a new section of Coroplast under the one you just made and trace around it using the Sharpie pen. Then cut it to size. Next, place some Reflectix under either one of the Coroplast pieces you just cut and trace around it using a Sharpie pen. Cut the Reflectix to size. Now repeat this step and cut another piece of Reflectix the same size. You should now have 2 layers of Reflectix and 2 layers of Coroplast cut to roughly the same size. Place both pieces of Reflectix on a flat surface, making sure the pieces are facing opposite directions, like this. These will be the sides visible to you inside. Now lay fabric over each Reflectix layer, being mindful to position the fabric pattern as you see fit. Cut the fabric just a few inches wider than the Reflectix on all sides. For this next part, move outside to a well-ventilated area and place your fabric face down on a flat surface like this table. For best results, stretch and smooth it out and clamp it at the edges to keep it in place. Now spray a generous amount of adhesive to one side of Reflectix. I did this in the grass to avoid getting glue on the table. Take the Reflectix and slowly lower it into position on the fabric. Press down in the center and apply pressure in an outward direction until you've reached the edge. Repeat in every direction to prevent wrinkles. Now flip the piece over and cut the edges. You only need about an inch or two overhang. It's okay if you cut it pretty close like I did here. This will be covered later. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. I put the template in the grass again and sprayed about 2 to 3 inches of adhesive all around the Reflectix. Try not to get spray on the fabric, but it's okay if you do. Move back to the work surface. Slowly pull and fold the fabric over and apply pressure to glue it down. Work all the way around until all the fabric has been folded. Don't worry about wrinkles on this side, it'll be hidden. Take scissors and cut excess fabric at the corners. Next, spray a generous amount of adhesive to your coroplast layer. Cover it completely. Back on the work surface, place the coroplast on top of the Reflectix fabric layer and apply pressure all over to bond them together. Smooth your hands across while putting your weight into it. Flip it over and continue smoothing it out. Repeat these steps for each window shade, and for best results, let them cure overnight. The next step is to create a finishing trim around each shade using gaffer's tape. I start with the longest straight surface, usually the bottom, and I tear a piece of tape about the same length. Place the tape onto the fabric side so that the outer edges line up about halfway on the tape. Put pressure to smooth the tape out, avoiding wrinkles. Next, flip the shade over and pull the tape firmly to the other side and tape it to the coroplast. Again, applying pressure to smooth the tape out. Now repeat this process for the remaining exposed edges of the shade. On the corners, tape one side first, then overlap that first piece with another piece of tape. The trim doesn't need to be perfect or perfectly straight. I added an extra piece of tape here because I thought it would look a little better, even though it wasn't needed. This tape trim is only here to keep the layers from separating and to give them a polished look. The final step is to create a pull tab using gaffer's tape. The shades are designed to fit snugly in the window, so we need tabs to make it easier to pull them out. It's basically the same process as the one we made before. Attach a piece of tape about 8 to 10 inches long to the top back edge of one side. Fold it over onto itself and smooth it out. Then add a second tape layer on top of the first one. And finally, take about a 6-inch piece of tape and tear it in half. Place one piece on each side over the base of the tab you just made. Smooth it out, give it a tug, and that's it. You have just completed a DIY window shade. Here's a cost breakdown. $20 for Reflectix, $35 for fabric or a curtain, $10 for some paper, $10 for a ballpoint pen and a Sharpie, $20 for Super 77 spray adhesive, $10 for gaffer's tape, $8 for scissors, $6 for an X-Acto knife, $3 for Scotch tape, and $35 for corrugated plastic sheets. That's a grand total of $157. I created shades for 4 of my side windows, but I didn't create one for the big back window yet. I'm still figuring it out. The coroplast and Reflectix isn't big enough to do it in one piece, and if I do it in 2 pieces, I'm not sure how to keep them in place. I may need to create a center brace or something similar. Anyway, that's for another day. Hey, if you got anything out of this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.
Once it is in, it does not come out